wants a bit of paint, wants a bit of chrome, wants a bit, any little excuse, man, like that. Loads of Minis there. Minis are like E-Types. E-Types are up and down like a roller coaster. Honestly, they're like stocks and shares. 2008, that's the era of car that's going really well at the moment. Anyone asks you, what do I need? I'm thinking about buying an MGB Roadster, chrome bumper, yeah, what do I need? £10,000 plus. Now, no, now 7.
All right then, guys, we thought we'd have a quick roundup of the May auction. We had a bank holiday weekend since, which has been lovely, isn't it?
It has, yeah, it has, yeah. It sort of throws you into the deep end on the Tuesday,
It does.
It's like, woo.
It does. You're right. Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go. So it's a quick wander round, really, of things that surprised us, and yeah, we thought we'd start in with the motorcycles this time. Mainly, really, because the motorcycle market is struggling a bit, isn't it?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one, and I think there's a new sort of level of prices that we've just got to introduce. And historically, this last few months, we witnessed go back a bit. We witnessed quite a price change in 2023, and the market hasn't recovered at all, really. The bike market, we've got loads of bikes. The bike market is strange because it's quite buoyant as far as people wanting to buy and people wanting to sell.
The interest is there, isn't it?
The interest is there.
Yeah.
You've just got to accompany that with some proper prices. Now, we've been trundling along with a sort of a bar of £3,000 buys you a lovely British bike and a lovely Japanese bike.
Yeah.
After spending 3 days on the rostrum, we're going to have to think again, because £2,000 to £2,500 buys you a lovely British bike and a lovely Japanese bike. So
that's on a good day, you know.
Moving forward, I mean, people are already realising. I know I mentioned it quite a few times when I was on the rostrum last week, and said, how cheap are these bikes got to be? Because we were trying to start at 3, thinking, or pushing on that way, thinking, and there was no interest until we dropped the bar down to 2. So moving forward, they're going to have to come in closer to 2. And this morning already, I've said okay to a couple of bikes, British bikes, at 2. And it's a shame because they should be worth more. I had a long conversation with a quite a respected bike guy on Saturday, and he said, "You're right, Dave. The job is hard, but the interest is there if the
there's almost a surplus of bikes, isn't there? There's more bikes than there are buyers. British bikes. There is an abundance of British bikes, and we haven't got an abundance of British bike buyers anymore.
Yeah, that contributes
because
to the
of course they've all got to an age where they can't put them on the stand. They can't manage them. They're looking more into some later, lighter, smaller bikes, equaling the big, heavy old British stuff. There isn't the buyers. No. Therefore, there isn't the market. Therefore,
I think those
they don't do the money.
Are bidding, thinking that is so cheap. I'll pay that just to park it in the garage, and look at it and clean it,
put it next to the telly.
And then there's perhaps the other group that are buying, thinking, well, I'll buy that and put it in the garage, and surely it's going to go up in value. And I would tend to agree with both of them. I think that approach is probably correct with both. Yeah. Because you look at some of this stuff that's making 2,200 quid, and you think, wow. I haven't witnessed them as low for a long, long time. I was a bit too young to witness it in the sort of mid to late 80s, really. But even then, my father bought most of his collection through the 80s, but even then, or our father, even then the prices, we're sort of back where we were, 2,000 or 3,000 quid, tops.
I would have thought so.
Tops.
I would have thought.
It's really, it really is a buyer's market at the moment, and it's like anything in life. If you want to move it on, if you want to have a change or whatever, you've got to go with what it is at that time. Bite the bullet and go for it. Yeah, you can't do a lot. I mean, we can't make we can't make them worth any more than they are. The public and the industry dictates the price. So moving forward, we haven't got to a point where we're going to say no to bikes, obviously, but they've got to come in at super engaging figures. Otherwise, there is no engagement. Simple as that, really.
No, exactly right.
And there's some nice bikes at dead sensible money.
Not a lot of money, is it?
No,
for a toy. It's not a lot of money,
it's not.
It
these
really
trial
isn't.
bike type stuff. I mean, you always. I mean, that's not necessarily that one, but trial bikes, period trial bikes. Yeah, you needed sort of 2,500 quid. now we 1,500 quid, you know. So no, it's not a lot of money really. There's the odd unicorn in the industry, not just in this bikes,
sector,
but in cars, in commercials, in everything that goes on. There was a lovely R6 over there that made good money because it is a lovely low mileage bike, and there was a nice, I think it was one of those Hondas or Triumph, one of those nice touring bikes there that went on and made good money because it was quite exceptional.
But is that not where we're going? No, that's a generational thing. Look at the age group of the lads that have bought them, and look at the age group of the lads that are buying these.
Yeah,
speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we're out the box
get
nicely. Yeah, I mean, like I was just about to say, the other one being that Honda Super Dream there that started, you know, way above the figures, you know, and carried on. So,
yeah.
But like you say, yeah, the answer to that is electric start, electric start, electric start, electric start.
There you go. It is. So we've got to get in our mind, haven't we, that this old stuff, as we know and we've spoken about, but we just got to get in our mind that the market's moving on. It's moving on a generation, and we've got to keep up.
I know.
Effectively,
I know. It's so hard, though, isn't it? We haven't grown up riding these, but we've grown up surrounded by these.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's always been an interest and a market for them. But yeah, all of a sudden, I think it's because it has come all of a sudden. All of a sudden, a new generation of people have come into the industry, and the older generation have gone out. But anyhow.
They're hanging their helmets up, aren't they? Anyway, yeah.
They are.
Anyway, we'll go through and have a look further on.
We've got a lovely selection of bikes again. You know, we had a real good input of bikes over 3 days, and yeah, these little things like little electric start stuff, little electric start, lightweight, you know, 125, 175, 250s, that type of stuff, or some really collectible stuff. I've got a nice Yamaha RD500 coming in today, hopefully, in Marlborough colours, which takes me right back to when I was 15, 16, when Dad had one. Yeah, I mean, that should do well. But there's behind you. There's a couple of expensive Honda-y type bits around, very limited edition, that were making mega money, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. No one's putting that sort of money into them now. No. Anyway, we'll wander through past my dogs. Yeah. Into cars. Hey, good lads.
Hello, little boys.
Good boys, good boys, good boys. So the car market, I suppose you could say that is taking the same route as the bike market. I mean, Jack.
Well, it is, isn't it? You know,
didn't he?
It is. You know, coming in for June, that one, but yeah, it's not going to have the interest that it had 5 years ago. It's just not. You know, it's still a very usable car and a lovely car.
It's crazy.
There's a prime example.
Yeah, 10 times more interest in the Honda than there is in the V8 Pilot, you know. So, and Jack highlighted this the other day because, you know, our title says classic car dealers, classic car enthusiasts, classic car auctioneers, or whatever it might be. But, like you say, this type of stuff.
If they're nice
and out the box, then fine, that era of car. But if they're not, if there's any excuse, is there any little excuse, wants a bit of paint, wants a bit of chrome, any little excuse, and then like, nah, no. But this type of thing, yeah. And obviously usual stuff, the XR2s, that type of fast 4D type stuff. But again, not the money that they were. T-Series MGs, I mean, I'm a big lover, so are you, a T-Series MGs.
Beautiful old car.
But the whole lot, TAs, TBs, TCs, TDs, TFs, the whole lot are as cheap as I've ever seen them. Yeah,
I know.
I mean, 10 to 15,000 pound buys you any T-Series now, and a very usable T-Series, no matter whether it's an A or an F. You know, you don't need any more than that. No. You really don't.
No.
And we all know these are coming on. Z3s, again, if you get nice ones. Z3s and even Z4s, especially just nice ones. Sensible miles, especially if they're 6-cylinder.
If they're a bit special.
If they've got a few little extra bits on it, these are coming on board now. Just again, proving another generational thing.
Yep.
Even the Orion done really well at the weekend. I think from memory, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. This did.
Did it?
Yep, that done right well.
Again, you know, it's only really proving what we keep saying. Generational, isn't it? It's moved on.
Yeah.
Capri did well.
Capri did. Capri's always do okay. Saab struggled a bit really, and that's a good old car that. But that struggled a bit. I don't know if there was a deal done at the end of the day, but that struggled out a little bit. Jags, they've got to be nice, otherwise they're not hitting the money anymore. Jags and Daimlers, they're not.
No.
Jeeps, you struggled a little bit with that one. I think it has sold now. Should be, well, obviously it shouldn't be green, but the green ones sell, the blue ones don't. Fact. Shame as that really, but that's a fact. These haven't really gone anywhere yet. The Subarus, not really, unless they're
Not unless they're magic.
unless they're special.
yeah.
These have sort of struggled on a little bit.
Alvis sold but struggled.
Oh yeah, I mean look at that, the most fantastic car there. Honestly, absolute stunning car. Yeah, it did in the end. Yeah,
sold in the end. Yeah,
but
yeah.
hard work. Yeah, hard graft.
Yes, Frenchman purchased that.
Oh yeah, off to France. That was it,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Morgan
Yeah,
did well.
France.
Morgan's doing well, it seems.
Porsches, the 911s, they're coming on. They've come on. Well, they've come on.
Yeah, they have.
There's
yeah.
a few things that sort of buck the trend. Not many. There's always, but it always is. There's always something that bucks the trend. 911s have bucked the trend. But again, it's obviously just the market, isn't it? Identifying the buyer. You know, there's obviously the buyer who's interested in the 911 obviously has some spare cash. That's why. It's the only reason they're going up. It's because they've got some spare cash and they've just hit a right market, and prices away they go. Heralds, I noticed, and Ritesses were struggling a little bit this time.
Yeah, yeah.
They weren't exactly on fire like they normally are.
Porsche, they struggled this time. Sold, got away, but it didn't really float and
Minis,
excel.
loads of Minis there. Minis are like E-types. E-types are up and down like a roller coaster. Honestly, they're like stocks and shares. They're up and then they're down, and then they're up and then they're down. And Minis are all over the place. 1 month they're up, 2 months later they're down. At the moment, they're going through the doldrums at the moment.
They are, yeah.
Minis. They are. Give it a couple of months and they'll be back up again. But they're going through the doldrums. The fast forward stuff, unless it's something special that Paul's leaning on there, they're in the doldrums. Apart from the keyboard warriors always infuriate me. Yeah, this should be worth this, that should be worth that. Well, come along and buy
Normally
it
because
then.
they've got one in their garage
Yeah,
and
well,
they're trying to
one
big
or
them
two
up.
things. Yeah, probably. Yeah, they're trying to talk their own one up.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
They're not trying to talk them up because they want to buy one next month, are they? They're
No,
talking them
I
up because
know.
they've got one in their garage
true
and
enough.
keep telling their wife, don't worry, it's worth 25 grand.
Anyway, let's have a wander up to Unit 3 and see what Michael's doing.
That did well.
No, there's one inside that did well.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, there's two very similar.
Did that do well? It deserved to.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? That should have done well. Stuff in that condition, Jake, and period, pre-war, post-war cars in that condition that you can't walk past because you've got to stop and
lovely,
admire
innit?
how nice they are.
Yeah.
They're doing okay. But like I say, any excuse, and they don't. And I didn't recognise that one going. Did that do okay? That
What's that?
Defender? Didn't recognise that one.
Yeah. It's
Did
clean,
it?
that, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is clean.
Well, I don't know about money. I can't remember now. No, I don't think it did. They want more.
Do they?
Yes, I think so.
All right.
Yeah. I see that on the list for tomorrow.
Yeah, that done okay. The tractors are a bit hit and miss as well. We've missed a bit with some of the tractors.
I know, but then to be fair, hand start. Here we go again.
I know.
No one wants hand start case.
No.
Little French jalopy. I think I managed to get that away. I think, and I'm not sure about the international, but yeah, not
It's
the
like
most desirable models there, is there?
It's
Let's
like
be
the
fair.
Bulldog. I know that, like you say, you've got to start it with the cartridge, and it takes 24 hours to get it going, and you've got to start it on Monday if you want to use it on Tuesday. And I just thought that they might just be a must-have for a tractor collector.
Yeah.
Never use them, right?
No.
You just go, parked up,
Well.
and that's it. But I just thought they must have.
Can you remember?
Waiting for some more money, I think, on that one, and rightly so, because you just don't see them.
No.
The fast forwards, I think one sold, one was struggling, but these are good value for
Orange
money.
one did, then it didn't.
Didn't, yeah.
This one I think did.
That one did.
I think that one had to be
Think that
more.
one had to be a bit more.
Porsche
done okay in the end. That done okay. The Bentley's done okay. BM,
That's a lot of car.
That's the era of car. I know it's crazy, isn't it? 2008. That, obviously. I don't know what year that is, but probably about the same. 2008. That's the era of car, really, that's going really well at the moment. Yeah, strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're doing really well. MGBs, there's always a good following for MGBs and MGCs, but you might as well go back 2 years. Anyone ask you, what do I need? I'm thinking about buying an MGB Roadster, chrome bumper. Yeah, what do I need? £10,000 plus. Now, no. Now, 7. Yeah. MGCs, what do I 20? Now, 10, 12.
Doesn't really,
lucky.
don't you? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're lucky. Little commercials always do okay, and again, they have done. Moggies, TR6s do all right. Rolls, bits and pieces like that. Escort over there done really well, but so it should, because it's an exceptional car. That's why it made exceptional money. And then what happens, Jake, after a sale? You'll have an exceptional car like that that makes exceptional money. And then you're flooded with emails from people with average cars who want close to exceptional money. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. A low mileage, a low owner car that's lovely in comparison to a okay car with loads of owners and done enough miles. It's not the same, is it? It's not the same. Apart. You're comparing onions and oranges.
You are.
Worlds apart.
Not the same.
Absolutely worlds apart. E-types, we've sold, I think, most of them this time. But again, as I mentioned earlier when we were in Unit 1, they're all over the place. Stocks and shares, up and down, up and down. You know, everyone... It was a sort of a fallacy, wasn't it? At one point, everyone assumed you needed £100,000 for an E-type. You don't need £100,000 for an E-type. You can buy a lovely E-type for 30, 40,000, and even a Roadster for not much more. Yeah. Again, sold. I mean, not old, is it? You know, but sold. So Sunbeam struggled. I think it did in the end, but Sunbeam struggled. Porsche sold. Yeah.
I know. Hummer sold.
Yeah. Jag, Daimler struggled. Hummer, sorry, apologise. Jag stroke Daimler, that one, struggled. Hummer sold. Yeah. It did in the end, didn't it? Yeah, it did in the end. I know. That's the one that made really good money.
Right. Okay.
That's the one, and so rightly so. This is a perfect example. So there you've got an exceptional little BMW convertible, same colour. It's the same colour, same everything. So if you didn't know your cars, and you parked that one and that one out there, you would say same car. But because this is such a nice one, it made twice as much money as the other one. So that just shows, doesn't it? So nice ones do really well. Yeah, and there you go. So it did. Even you walked past it and said that one done okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't know this was here, did I? No, exactly right.
Yeah, no,
I didn't realise we had two the same.
Moggies, again.
Yeah, 12.4 that one.
Yes, whereas I think that one made 4
I'm just looking now because, as I said, I didn't even realise we had 2.
5.
So this was 12, and that one did £2,100 out there.
There you go.
£10,000 difference.
£10,000 difference in what, essentially, if you park them both outside Morrison's, they look the same. But then once you start diving in, and buyers obviously dive in and do the homework and everything else, and mileages and ownerships and everything else that goes with it, that's the difference. So 2 very, very similar blue BMW convertibles, almost £10,000 worth of difference.
Yep.
Yeah. Done really well. There's always, as we touched on in Unit 1, there's always someone for these 911s.
What did it do? Can you remember?
27, 28, I think.
Did it?
in
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
27, 28. We had a standing bid of 25. And I think there was a bit of a bum fight at the end, and I think it may maybe 27.5, 28,000, something like that. Yeah, it's it made you laugh. It made me chuckle, that, because you get that type of car in, and then you get all the emails, and you got all those guys that just think there might be a bargain there. Will any history come? Will any of this come? Will any of that come? No, hoping that they're going to buy themselves a car with nothing, and all of a sudden everything's going to turn up and make their car worth £10,000 more. Yeah, I know, it's yeah, that would made me giggle, that entry-level Porsche.
Frustrating me, but anyway, yeah.
I don't know if the later one sold, the 02. Mick would have marked it this morning.
Not sure.
These are good value for money. Good value. Sold, yeah, that one sold. This is a lovely BMW. I've got one of these coming in. I've got a 330 coming in with 3,000 miles, 2,800 miles, I think, sold. Yeah. That should have made more. I don't know if it's sold in that.
No, it hasn't. No.
That should have made more. Yeah, oh, MG's sold, that's nice. A few MGs there, they sold, that sold. Midget sold. Volvo, oh, see, that's the exception. So if we had your run-of-the-mill, smart, presentable Volvo, 244, 200 series Volvo, it would have achieved 1,500 quid, 2 grand.
Couple of grand, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Something like that. And then you've got an exceptional one that, from memory, made 12.
Is that why? To be fair, I don't know. I didn't see it.
Again, so you're looking at £10,000 difference
From a normal.
from a normal one to a wow one. BMW, £10,000 difference from a normal one to a wow one. Yeah. Glad the old Escort went. We filmed that with the. That should have gone. That wasn't over dear. I know £9,000.
No, that should have sold that.
But it should have sold that. I know. I know she's a bit of an animal, and I know she's done some work, bless her. But I'm glad it sold, and it's just one of those cars that makes you smile. It makes you chin hit the floor. That's what it does. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing that out and about. Yeah. It's just one of those like, really, cars.
It is really.
But anyway, it went. It sold. Yeah, it did in the end. Yeah, it did. Did the GT Turbo sell?
I'm just looking at that little Corsa actually, which,
okay.
Which, there you go. And there's another example there. Look, 20,000 mile Corsa is near to a new Corsa you're going to find.
What did that get?
£3,800.
Yeah.
Which is double and a bit what.
You struggle to get 500 quid for a normal one.
Exactly. Yeah.
You would. I tell you what else is. I was going to go on there and say what's on the floor. That's probably a bit extreme. But they've really come down to earth with a bump, all the Yank stuff. Now, there was a bit of a bar, £15,000. That's what you sort of needed for a nice Yank, whatever it might be, a 60s, a 70s, an 80s, whatever it might be. A nice Yank, you needed £15,000 upwards. That's settled down at 10 now. Don't need any more than 10. No more than 10 buys you a lovely, whatever it might be, a Corvette, a Mustang, whatever it might be, £10,000 gets you into one now. Yeah. But I don't want to be all doom and gloom because...
Renault sold.
Yeah, that sold, didn't it? Yeah. Because there is still lots of interest there. We had 2,500 bidders last sale online. 2,500, plus all the telephone bids, plus all the commission bids. So there's lots of interest there, but all these buyers are going to a level and stopping. Mm-hmm. So I know it didn't physically happen this way, but if you just rewind the clock 18 months, 2 years ago, what was happening was, not literally, but what was happening was buyers were like chatting away, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then, oh, how much did I pay? They're not doing that anymore. That's stopped. They're now going to a level, they're studying it, they've got a bar, £10,000, they're going to a level, £9,800, stopping. That's right. It.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But at least they're there. So if your car won't now make 15 like it was 2 years ago, but at least they are still there. So you can still actually do some business.
That's
and
right.
You can still move your car on and you can still get that other car that you fancy, that other generation, that other model, go from a soft top to a coupe, I don't know, whichever way round you like. So, but more than ever, we've got to be very, very mindful that these have got to arrive with super, super sensible figures. Otherwise, you won't be changing your car.
No, exactly right.
But anyhow. But on that note, thank
onwards
you
and
ever so
upwards.
much.
We look forward to June.
Yeah, thanks ever so much for the support on social media and so forth. We do appreciate it. And thanks again for all those that engaged last week with bids and with the social media again. I think we had some fairly high record numbers of people tuning in, and it's nice to see that 99% of it is supportive, which is good. But you're going to get that 1% in life. I mean, unfortunately, that 1% can potentially at times ruin it for the other 99, can't it? But in this case, it hasn't. We really do appreciate everything that you do and the time that you spend with us. So thank you ever so much.
Absolutely.
4,600.